Welcome back to Important Library Stuff, a podcast where library staff share the inside scoop on all the stuff that happens at Prince William Public Libraries. And trust us, it's a lot of stuff. I'm your host, Emily Bickers, media specialist from the Office of Communications and Marketing, and I'm joined each episode by fellow staff members and special guests who know a lot more on each episode's topic than I do. Which for this episode is FanFest, an event happening at Bull Run Library on Saturday, July 18th. So without further ado, let's see what you can look forward to during FanFest from librarians Maddy Barnes from Bull Run.
Hi.
And Andreea Whitley from Chin Park.
Hello.
So what is FanFest and what can people expect if they attend?
FanFest is our mini Comic-Con style fan event. The previous 2 years, it's been incarnated as LitCon, and it was kind of either a multi-day or multi-week event. This year, we're finally condensing it just to the one day so we can cram as much amazing things in there as we can. And when we say fan, we really mean a fan of basically anything. I know a lot of conventions are more focused on, one type of media or one franchise, but this is all fans of comics, manga, anime, video games, books in general. We just want some fun nerdiness happening at the library this summer.
Great. So what makes it different from a typical library program?
So this program is different to others as it's not just one program. It's essentially multiple programs in one day at one location. If you're looking for a program that is more geared towards younger kids, we have events like the Superhero Academy, which is going to be where they go to different stations and they work on building up their superhero persona and everything like that. We have a costume contest. We have an author visiting who's going to be talking about some really cool stuff. We've got a little bit of everything that we're trying to pack into a few hours. Conventions are a really great way to meet people that like a lot of the things that you may like, because you're not necessarily going to your average person and being like, hey, do you like Spider-Man? Unless they're wearing like a Spider-Man t-shirt. So this is a great way to meet people that have interests that are similar to yours. And that is also kind of why it stands out as a different type of program, because we usually will do like a singular one event, not an event that's going to bring in people from every different kind of genre and stuff like that.
You mentioned some of them. What kind of fandoms will people find represented at FanFest?
We're doing a kind of Studio Ghibli-themed craft, so for all of you Miyazaki fans. And one of our other crafts is going to have elements from Super Mario, from K-pop Demon Hunters, and Pokemon, which is evergreen. Everybody loves the Pokemon. So
one of our wonderful, wonderful team members, John, he reached out to a ton of publishers and got a ton of swag. So definitely check out the upcoming unboxing video that is going to be airing soon. We really did get a lot of good responses from publishers, including some publishers that sent us even full-on like editions. So we've got some mangas that we got like the first volumes of. We've got some graphic novels that we've gotten the first volumes of, and swag. So we have a little bit of everything. So we've got it from kids, teens, and adults. So definitely check that out.
If someone is nervous about attending because they don't think they're nerdy enough, what would you tell them?
One of the things we are aiming for with FanFest is that it is a soft introduction to a fan convention. It can be overwhelming to see things like Otakon, Awesome Con, where people are in, full professional cosplay outfits, and just the sheer number of events that are going on and being a little overwhelmed by that. So this is kind of like a scaled down version of that. You can dress up however elaborately or unelaborately as you'd like. You can dress in any type of character. You can pretty much attend almost everything if you wanted to squeeze that into your schedule so you're not feeling like you're running around trying to meet a timeline. So this might be a good way, and a family-friendly way, definitely, since it's free.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which is definitely the best part.
Yeah, to kind of enter that world. And if you have a good time here, maybe, your next step will be somewhere in DC or Baltimore,
What's one event or activity that you're really excited about at FanFest?
Well, I'm definitely going to sound super biased on this one. But
as you should.
The cosplay contests. I'm in charge of the cosplay department. I have been really excited to work on getting this off the ground, because I know we have a lot of people in the area who love to create costumes, who love to dress up. And that's not even just counting like kids and stuff like that too. We have tons of teens, we have adults. I mean, I've had teens come up to me and ask, because some of them have found out that I'm a cosplayer, and they've come up and asked me, because like I teach sewing classes as well, and they'll come up and be like, hey, I'm running into this issue with the seam, and like when I'm working on this, could you assist me with this? Or can you help me read this pattern? Because I do a lot of patterning and stuff like that as well. So I'm really, really excited to be able to bring this event to our local community, because that has been something I've gotten feedback from.
I'm really excited for Robin Ha's visit. She is, of course, the author and illustrator of Almost American Girl. She's our Comics World guest who is going to be leading a workshop. I'm sure a lot of people will have a really good time at that.
So more on that, Robin Ha coming is extremely exciting, and she will be leading the Intro into Making Comics workshop. What can attendees expect to learn?
They're going to be learning how to develop characters, plan layouts, and how to bring their stories to life. So she's going to be kind of guiding people with their stories. She encouraged people to already bring like characters that they have already started working on, and so she can help them kind of build those characters out and kind of polish them off. And just how to kind of bring your stories to life.
Do you think people leaving it will learn to see storytelling differently?
I get this feedback even sometimes from teens and stuff that their work isn't always encouraged, especially when it comes to character building and stuff like that. Like they don't have a lot of great outlets for that kind of thing. So I think this will be a great opportunity for those who are wanting to inspire into being a writer or being an illustrator and those kinds of things, and kind of how to start building that mindset. It's the building blocks. So she's going to be giving them those building blocks that they need to start building up to where they want to be.
And what is the age range for the workshop?
It's an all-ages workshop. It is going to be limited in the number of people who can attend. I think part of what's special about that is that she will be able to give a lot of individual attention to people, and it won't just be like this massive lecture hall.
Fantastic. So some people still hear, comic book and think it's less valuable to read than a traditional novel. Why do comic books, manga, and graphic novels absolutely count as reading?
I'm going to use my younger sister for an example. She was not a big reader. My mother had no idea how this happened. She had one child that was super reader and the other one who hated reading. But comic books she did actually start enjoying because she loved the art in it, because we're both artists, and she loved being able to look at, because then she also started looking at drawing some of these characters from the comic books. So comic books, just because it's not a traditional print book, does not make it any different from a chapter book. A lot of them have the same word count. They just have more illustrations. If they have a less of a word count, it's simply because all of the descriptions are now physically on that page in a picture versus having a 2-page description of a scene or something like that. You are still reading the words on the page. This is just more artwork on the page. Many classical works have been made into graphic novels, including works of Shakespeare. They are making almost every classical novel at this point I have seen, they are making them into graphic novels, because that is the way to get kids to read these classical novels, because let's be all honest, classical novels are dry. And it is very hard to get kids to read.
And hey, it's not just kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at, a wall of text in a classical novel and I'm just, my eyes go crossed. But if it's parceled out in those panels where it looks more linear and just looks like something I can follow and be interested in, that's going to inspire me.
Absolutely. As somebody who read Great Expectations and Les Mis at the same time, I really wish I had had a graphic novel version of those at that time.
And like just the history of comics in the United States, they've always been kind of treated as like a less important form of literature, for children. But they're not going anywhere, so get used to it.
That is for sure.
What skills are readers using when they read manga or graphic novels?
Again, kind of with the panels, you're learning that linear plot point. Of course, with manga, you are reading from right to left in the way the Japanese style books are printed. So you're kind of getting exposed to how, different cultures are producing literature. And there's a lot of use of context clues in the text. If there's a picture there's a character holding some kind of object, you have no idea what it is, and it says the supervillain has a speech bubble that says, "I'll destroy you with my halberd," or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, that must be what a halberd is. So it's, again, a great way to build vocabulary. I know there's varying levels of people who are able to visualize things as they read. And with a graphic novel or manga or comic book, the visuals are right there. So you've got that taken care of for you. I mean, you can always add on whatever you like in your own mind, but you're not putting that mental effort into trying to create the scene yourself.
Absolutely. Andrea, you mentioned your sister. Have either of you seen how manga and comics can help someone become a stronger, more enthusiastic reader overall?
Absolutely. I've seen, because I work with teens and children a lot, and even working the desk, I've seen, like, I've had parents come up and talk to me about how their kid was either struggling or their kid just didn't want to read, but then they got into things like Dog Man and Captain Underpants and stuff like that. And then they were like, oh, wait, do you mean there's physical print books of other things that are like this that they really like? It's been a great segue into, like, going in towards regular print books so that they see that there's a huge wide audience, because it's not that I don't want them to just read graphic novels. It'd be great for them to also read regular traditional print books as well, too. I want them to read both, honestly. But it has been really cool to see a kid come up and, like, I'll use the Cupcake Diaries as an example, because they've been recently starting to make those into graphic novels, but they are also a physical regular print book. So I've had kids have come up and they're like, hey, I started reading these graphic novels. I've caught up. I want to know more, or I want to read more of this series. And I can be like, well, there actually is a traditional print book of these as well. And they're like, oh. And so then you can kind of segue into that, and then they'll just read through those and they just blow through them. And they're like, can you put books, 10 through 20? I think there's that many.
There's at least track. 20 of the Cupcake Diaries.
And that's just the Cupcake. There's all of the other ones too. But it's been really cool to kind of see, like, both parents and kids and everything like that. And I've seen even adults who are like, hey, there's another one I was thinking of. He came in because a friend of his had recommended the new, I think it was like it was some superhero comic. And he was just like, I'm humoring my friend, and so I'm going to read it because he just really wants to talk about it. And so he comes in, he gets it, and he comes back like a couple of days later, and he's like, I really enjoyed that. I want to read more of these. Like, he's like, I really liked the art style. I really liked how the story was. He's like, I want, like, everything by this. And so we were able to pull those, and then he's like, I haven't read in 10 years. But he was telling me how he wasn't expecting to enjoy this, and how now he really does want to just read graphic novels. So I was able to recommend him some other series. I even recommended him a couple, like, starter manga to see if he'd be interested in that. And then I did keep seeing him come in, and he would get different graphic novels and manga. And it was just really cool to see somebody who hadn't really even stepped foot in the library for like 10 years to be like, oh, this will get me back into reading.
And one thing that I think is kind of cool, especially for parents, is a lot of books that we grew up reading, like as millennials, Babysitter's Club, Bailey's School Kids, Animorphs, they are now being republished as graphic novels. So if you remember those, from your elementary or middle school days and see your kids pick that up, you could be like, oh my gosh, I remember this. This was the best. And, have that shared experience.
Politely wait for your kid to finish before you steal it.
Yeah,
and read
be like,
through
oh, what are I doing these days? And I just did want to add one story. Years ago, we had a family that was coming into my library who were refugees, I want to say, from Syria. And at the time they arrived, they had very, very little experience with English. There were 4 young boys in the family, and they would check out the Avatar: The Last Airbender DVDs every week. And at the time, we actually had TVs in the library that they could sit and watch them, and they would be there on their headphones, all gathered around the TV watching Avatar with the subtitles. And within a few months, it felt like they were all almost fluent in English, it felt like. Like they were coming up, they were having conversations, they would be like, I need book 4, I need the next volume. And it was just amazing to see, that they, something that was interesting to them is what inspired them to learn that. And so I always I always think of Avatar when I think of English language learners, and I'm like, hey, might have something for you.
That's a good point, because part of FanFest is, anime and movies and TV too. It's not just limited to books. That's awesome. So we have a lot of people who have contributed to this program. As Andreea mentioned, a lot of publishers have donated swag and books, which are going to be prizes and giveaways, so definitely come for them. So one of the program sponsors is Decoding Dyslexia, and we wanted to give them a thank you for their support. Graphic novels are often recommended for readers with dyslexia. What makes them particularly accessible?
One of the things with dyslexia is that can be difficult when you're reading like a traditional book is there is all of this text on the page. There's very little breakup. It can all kind of start swimming together. One of the beauties with graphic novels is that you don't typically have a like multiple paragraph section in the graphic novel. It's all broken up, so all the speech dialogue is going to be broken up. Sometimes they do have like a small description, but it's going to be on the side. And it's also still, again, going to not be like a huge, long, like 50-page description book. That's one of the views with graphic novels for if you do have dyslexia. It's with it being broken up like that, it's a lot easier for you to focus. The text also in a lot of graphic novels, and you see this also in manga too, they will also sometimes have like larger text. They will also have different like exclamations are going to be in bigger text. They even like if they're shouting, it's going to be in bigger text, which is also a lot easier for people with dyslexia to be able to read that. Because the font size is another actual impact with people. If the font size is too small, it is really hard to be able to read those. I mean, even I'm somebody who has like some vision issues. I have trouble with the fonts, and I'm like, if you look at this from the perspective of somebody who has dyslexia, this would be almost impossible to read with some of these fonts on these books. So that's a beauty with the graphic novels and manga is that not only are fonts usually bigger, but then they have differentiating fonts as well too, so you can kind of see and break it up as well.
And then, continuing with how accessible graphic novels and comic books and manga make reading to individuals. Many readers with autism also enjoy them. What features of the format can make the stories easier to process and follow?
A lot of neurodiverse people may have the same issues with, large indistinguishable blocks of texts or, being able to follow things on a page that isn't laid out, in panels the way a comic or manga is. Another great thing about graphic novels is so often they are part of a series. And if somebody picks up the first one and they love it, they will read every single one of those. And, some people, really like that, that predictability, that, having a next installment and being able to expect the same characters and the same format and everything. And if that is you, then I would recommend One Piece. What are we on, volume 240-something?
I don't know.
I'm on volume 20. I'm not thinking about the end because I don't think there will be one.
No, there will be no end.
I will be reading, ask them to, leave the latest One Piece in my coffin, and I'll work on it later. Yeah.
James Patterson and One Piece will keep us going forever.
They will.
That's great and really good point. And why is it important for libraries to offer reading formats that meet different learning and reading styles?
Everybody reads differently. And I'm going to kind of use examples of my sister and I again. My mom realized that I read very high, very early. And then she couldn't get me to stop. And then she was just taking all my reading lights because I'm a night owl and I didn't sleep at night. And I would be up at 3 a.m. reading. Whereas she realized later on with my sister was struggling a bit more. Of course, also there was the fight to get her to even read, but it was just a fight because she realized early on, she was learning that my sister did not read on the same level as I did. And you see that even with siblings, you see this with kids that come in. You can have kids in the same grade, all in the same grade, and they all read at different levels. Some kids learn differently. Is it even with the same with adults? Some adults can read slower. Some adults are I checked out this book yesterday. It's a 500-page book. I'm done with it, and I want another book. Everybody is different. Does not matter. So it's very important for libraries to be able to provide materials that can at least work with whatever reading level it is. I'm going to use also an example of how like Maddy and we go to schools to promote summer reading. And one of the questions that I always get from kids is because we're talking about, oh, you need to read 500 minutes to finish the program. And they're like, well, how does this work? You know, I struggle to read, or like, you know, I don't like reading that much. And it's like, oh, well, you can read a graphic novel, you can listen to a book, you can have somebody read to you or read to somebody else. You can even read the same book as long as you're counting those minutes. And if you're a slower reader, that's fine. If those 500 minutes is just you reading one book, that is totally okay. And like trying to encourage them with that it doesn't matter what speed you read at, we are going to have something for you. So if you're a slower reader, but you want to still read a lot, graphic novels we're going to give you. We're just going to flat out give you those because that's going to be a great intro into reading and it'll help you with your reading. If you're one of those quick readers, I'm going to give you that 500-page book because I'm going to be like, I need to keep you busy for at least a couple hours.
And the kids love graphic novels. Mm-hmm. Every single school visit I have done over the past 3 or 4 years, every grade a kid has asked, do you have Dogman at the library? And when we list for like the older kids, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, when we start to list off the different manga series we have, they go nuts. Like
yes.
we had to have the teachers step in and be like, I'm so glad you're excited about books, but we need to keep the noise level down. Like, in addition to the like physical accessibility as far as reading levels goes, comics, graphic novels, I think the format just naturally lends itself to featuring very diverse characters as well. And that's always important for especially young readers to be able to see themselves in books. And, you know, they may never have seen a character that looks like them in a traditional picture book. Or if it's a classic, you know, they may not have descriptions of the characters. But if, you know, they pick up a graphic novel and it's like, oh my gosh, like that looks like me and my family, you know, that's going to inspire them to pick that up and to explore it some more and explore other cultures more. And it's a format that really lends itself to a very diverse range of perspectives and cultures.
Handing a kid a book and they're like, wait, that character looks like me is really cool. And I will say this as somebody who's Romanian. Especially when I was younger, it was so hard to find. Like, my mom strived to find as much as she could that was Romanian, that had like a Romanian character or was set in Romania that was not Dracula. That was always the struggle when I was younger. She really wanted to be able to give me something that had Romanians in it or a Romanian character. Like, I have a whole shelf on my bookcase that's dedicated to Romanian stories and like Romanian characters and stuff like that, which is still not that big because it's hard to find sometimes representation of a very specific group of people. So it's always been cool when you can hand a kid or hand anybody something that has like a character from their background or that kind of looks like them, and they can be like, oh, this is so cool. And I just find joy in that. Just even from my own background, I always love that.
Fantastic. You mentioned this earlier about the magic of cons, and we hope the magic of FanFest is coming in and finding other library users who also love the same things you do. So how does a library help people connect with others who share their interests regularly?
I mean, we have programs almost every day that are often geared around a specific interest. One of our biggest programs for kids at my branch is Pokemon Club. I mean, and again, when we mentioned that on our school visits, the kids, Pokemon Club, you know? That's just one example. We have book clubs for every genre, basically. And we're also always open to suggestions. You know, if somebody says there's a gap in our services where, you know, what was I just reading about the other day? Dad books. You know, like military histories and Tom Clancy and stuff like that. It's like, oh, we don't have a dad book club? Well, I don't know. Let's get a dad on that. You know?
I would love to see that.
That's great. So, Maddy, as you mentioned, you are the brains behind a lot of the crafts at FanFest. And Andreea, you are the cosplay expert and shepherd of that contest, which cosplay involves crafting as well. Mm-hmm. What resources does the library have to support crafting outside this one day?
I'll specifically mention Bull Run and Central have maker spaces, and soon Chim Park will also have a maker space, which I'm very, very excited about. Funnily enough, when I go to conventions, I actually end up heavily promoting library maker spaces to other con-goers because I get a lot of feedback from people of like, some machines are really expensive to have, some, and like especially depending on what you're doing, like currently, I'm debating if I want to get an embroidery machine. I'm currently working on hand embroidery. I've used the embroidery machine at one of our maker spaces. It's very nice, but it's been very nice to be able to just go and test and see how much do I like using an embroidery machine? Do I want to, try and get an embroidery machine, or do I want to stick with my hand embroidering? And it's very nice having those kinds of resources in our makerspace because then you can kind of weigh out, is this something I would be using all the time? Is this something I'm going to use for like one day and be done? We also have staff usually in the makerspaces who can assist you if you need assistance, if you don't know what you're doing. That can help you with those kinds of things. So it's a really amazing service that the library provides, and I will always tote that every single day.
Good. Word of mouth is the best way to spread it, so thank you. Thank you for sharing it again here.
Happy I could help.
And then, of course, like if you don't have a specific project you want to do, but you just want to keep your hands busy, we have lots of take-and-make crafts in almost every branch, like at all times, and specific crafting programs and events. So again, check our online calendar and see all those and see which ones spark your interest. Okay, I have lightning round questions to close this out. What is a manga, comic, or graphic novel everyone should read at least once?
I'm going to recommend Persepolis by Marjan Satrapi. It is a graphic memoir of the Iranian Revolution, and it's told through her point of view, which at the time is a young girl growing into a teenager, and it's funny and heartbreaking and very easy to read. Like the graphics are not overly complicated or anything like that, so it's a great introduction.
Honestly, I feel like at least if I were to go towards anything, so there's a series called Library Wars. It's a manga series, and it's set in Japan, but it's set in Japan as if basically libraries are almost outlawed. So there's a lot of censorship. There's a lot of they essentially have a library police that they are trying to protect the materials. So they have this kind of almost a secret library, and I really highly recommend it as a read. It's a teen manga series.
Great. Okay, next question. Favorite fandom?
Oh, mine's got to be Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's
nice.
Doesn't really go with the theme of comics and graphic novels, but
there is graphic novels.
There are now, yes.
And there's a lot of tabletop gaming. Mm-hmm. And
I mean, it's one of the original nerd fandoms, so I'll go with the classic. And to me, they tell the most amazing stories and have wonderful characters, and that'll always be my my favorite.
I will say currently probably Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. Not to the point that I can tell you what sounds are what, but I'm a decently sound Star Wars nerd to the detriment of my friends, because I will just drop random Star Wars facts on them and they'll just be like, okay.
Fantastic. Okay, next question. Character you'd most want to have a library card?
Ooh, I'll say Frieren from the anime and manga Frieren at Journey's End. She is a something 100-year-old elf mage who has made it her mission to collect as many grimoires and spell books as she can. And she might not find exactly what she's looking for in the library, but I think a library card, I think she could do some damage with that. So.
I'm going to stick to Star Wars on this one and say Anakin Skywalker.
Yes.
He really needed to read a little bit more.
They had that library too.
They did. And I love Jocasta. She was such a cool character, and I really wish we had gotten to see more of her. But definitely Anakin needed to spend more time in the library.
Would have discovered that the records were incomplete.
Yes.
If you could attend one fictional convention from any universe, for example, a Star Wars, like if there was a FanFest on Coruscant, which would it be?
I'm actually going to go with Futurama. Because I am sure there are some wild conventions in the Futurama universe, just about anything, and it just seems like it would be a really fun time.
Yeah, that would be chaos probably. I'm gonna stick to Star Wars again because I figured if I picked one, that made it a lot easier because there's several I would. But I would say for Star Wars, I would definitely love to go to like a Jedi convention and just see, but also a Rebels convention. Like I would totally also go to a Rebels convention, and not because some of my favorite characters are Rebels, and I would definitely like keel over meeting them.
Love it.
And more.
Well, thank you both. Before we wrap up, give us your 30-second FanFest pitch.
If you're a fan of any kind of graphic novel, TV series, manga, anime, video game, come on by the Bull Run Library on July 18th. We have things going on for all ages from 11 to 3.
I mean, if you really enjoy different things with pop culture, you just kind of also want something to do for that day. We would love to have you no matter what. Even if you're a hardcore fan to a more casual fan, no matter what, we're going to have something for you guys.
We have Artist Alley, food trucks, the crafts, the programs, the talks. We're going to hear from Decoding Dyslexia. Just a lot of stuff for everybody. It'll be really like a festival atmosphere.
And cool indoor activity in the middle of summer.
Very critical. Yeah. Well, thank you guys both again for joining me so much.
Thank you.
Can't wait for the day.
You.
Before we go, I want to thank our sponsors for helping make FanFest a success. BC Photography, Cozy Calico Books, Decoding Dyslexia Prince William County, DePaul Dog Treat, and the Prince William Library Foundation. For more information on FanFest, visit pwcva.gov/library. I will close this out with a quote from the manga series referenced in the episode title, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime by Fuse. It may sound like some kind of dream, but I'm thinking we can all work together. Thanks for listening, and join us next month for the next episode of Important Library Stuff.